Hey everybody, Nicholas here from the Wicked Seven. Wanted to share a tutorial on one approach you might use to create your map. Now, currently these are the guidelines, and this is the template that is provided. And the thought process is that you'll pick a problem and you'll just pick a spot on the map and get started within 10-15 minutes of trying to work through it, you'll gain momentum. However, if you're somebody like me who needs a bit more hand-holding and step-by-step structure to your approach, I put together another option that you can use to create your maps. Now, of course, this doesn't prevent you from just hand drawing your maps or using whatever other tool you want, but this is just another option that you can use that's a bit more structured. So the process is 10 steps. You'll begin by making a copy of this slideshow presentation, either in PowerPoint or Google Slides. So let's go ahead and make a copy right now. So we'll open this link, make a copy. Great, and then we'll remove option A because we'll be using option B for this video. So then it says label it with your assigned problem. So let's say that we're going to be doing water pollution. So we'll title it as water pollution. Then we'll go into our map and we'll look at the center and we'll insert water pollution right there. Step one is done. Now step two, gather sources. So you're going to be researching water pollution, compile 10 or so reputable sources using your best judgment to the quality and reputability of those sources. Make sure that there's not many biases, that there's decent studies and so on. So we're going to gather those sources and we're going to link them here. So here's an example. So these are some examples of sources that I found about water pollution that I can use to dive deeper into this problem. Then you want to define what is the problem itself, So we're going to place an image at the center of the map, connect it to a Wicked 7 problem, add a definition, and of course, cite our sources. So let's do that. So in the map, we're going to look up an image for water pollution and replace this block with an image. So there's an image right there. And we'll have a source that we pulled it from. So I'll go ahead and put the source right there and link it. And then we connect it with this big arrow to a Wicked 7. So right now, water pollution connects with the death of nature. So we'll copy the death of nature and we'll just swap it out right there. Perfect. Awesome. So then it also says to add a definition of what exactly do you mean by water pollution and cite your source. So we'll insert the definition here in one sentence. So a nice source had given a definition as this. So water pollution occurs when harmful substances contaminate a stream or other body of water, degrading water quality and rendering it toxic to humans. So that's a nice definition that I found from one of the sources. And of course, I'll link the source here as well. And we're done with step 3. So now we want to think about, okay, ask yourself, what causes water pollution? What causes that problem? Just think about what are some of the causes? And when we read our sources, we'll start to add in some causes to the left-hand side of the map. So in the left-hand side, you have the causes. And there's just some placeholders that you can use. Think of these as pieces of a puzzle. So let's say one cause might be, waste, water, dumping. Let's say another one that you come across is, let's say agribusiness, lobbying, and let's say we have, profit incentives. We have, water itself is a useful solvent. So you look at your research and the sources, and you kind of pull up these causes, and you just dump them as a piece of puzzle here. And of course we'll cite them. So let's say that we find with wastewater dumping that this link here, that link takes us to the source that we're looking for. So anyways, you populate those causes as much as you can find, linking to sources, and you're done with step 4. Step 5 says state the impacts. So now you ask yourself, well, why is water pollution bad in the first place? Why is it a problem? It might seem obvious, but still it's good to document it. So you'll read through your sources and you'll add those problems, those effects to the right-hand side. So why is water pollution? What does that end up doing? And so you might think about, okay, well, it may lead to unsafe drinking water. It might lead to, diarrheal diseases. Of course, people die. Diminished freshwater access, so we just have less water to access. So you'll piece together what are some effects that you find in your research, and what are some bad things that water pollution leads to. So what causes it, and what does it lead to? And now you basically want to think about, expanding those causes. So, on the left-hand side, what causes those causes? This is just a question that triggers you to dive deeper. So with all the causes that you've stated, are there any other ones that are even more underlying? So, for example, what underlies lobbying? What underlies profit incentives? So you might think about maybe there's just flawed policies, maybe there's why does wastewater dumping happen? Maybe it's low cost of production. Maybe there's other things, other reasons why those causes happen. You just basically want to expand and break it down as much as you can. And then you do the same thing for the impacts. So you look at all your bad things and you ask yourself, why are those bad things bad things? What do those ultimately lead to? And so again, you might think about, well, what happens if you have diminished freshwater access? Well, maybe you get war and conflict, things of that nature. So you expand your causes and your effects, and now we're ready to connect them. So we'll piece together the puzzle by connecting the causes. So you're going to add some black arrows from center to left, working toward the root. So you'll start in the middle, and you'll think to yourself, okay, water pollution is immediately caused by, let's say, wastewater dumping. That's what water pollution essentially is in a nutshell. So that leads to water pollution. Now, what leads to wastewater dumping? Well, let's say it's a universal solvent. It's something that's you dump in water because it can dissolve a lot of things. Well, why use that? Well, because it's a low cost, right? It's cheap, it's available, and it's easy to do. Well, what causes the incentive to do low cost production? Well, that might be, there's profit incentives, right? That gives you a higher profit margin. And so you keep piecing it together, and from center to left, stringing together, and you can branch off and things of that nature as well. Now you do the same thing for the effects. Almost done. Same thing for the effects. We think about, okay, what does water pollution immediately lead to? Let's say it leads to unsafe drinking water, right? You can't drink it. What does that lead to? Well, that might lead to, if you drink the unsafe drinking water, you'll have diarrheal diseases. And of course, that is, a pretty big cause of death around the world. And so you can begin to see your map taking shape. And that's essentially it. So once you're done, no matter what it looks like, it doesn't have to be, fully formed. Submit your draft. That's why I call it the draft, because it removes the burden of having to have a final finished product. So submit your draft, share your draft with someone on the Wicked 7 team for review, and make some adjustments. So you can submit it to submit@wicked7.org, or just contact us through wicked7.org or Digital Cosmos, and we'll make sure that it gets reviewed. So that's the process. I hope you found that helpful. Again, this is one approach of many. You can hand draw it, you can do whatever you need to do, but hopefully this provides some structure and guidance in case you need it. Thank you.